facts to the president. And the National Commission asked, give me the content. We prepared the content and we gave it to the National Commission, we were supposed to discuss with the president. And then we left. So when I was addressing the nation, I felt it is important for me to present this content. We can't wait anymore. That's why we presented it on the 6th.
And the role of the media, you had this press conference. It was prominently, very widely advertised. The example of Matlala's tender, it appeared in the media, it was investigated. In fact, we heard from General Masemola, quite worrying, that had this not been raised by Minister Mkhwanazi in a briefing they held on the 24th of December, just almost a week before the directive, where he flagged the award of the tender to Matlala. That was as a result of the media. Now we know, I don't think we need to debate that these media and media platforms are used for many different reasons, different purposes, different people, different agendas, different narratives. But will you accept that the media, together with Parliament, the courts, the people of this country, have an important role to play in addressing and correcting many of the things that you've highlighted that are wrong? Many things in this country have been exposed because we have a free press. You agree?
No, 100%.
Okay.
100%. I agree. I've said when we were doing the press briefing on the 6th of January that if it was not for media, South Africans were not going to hear us. Thanks to the media that we could hear. Thanks to the very same media that makes South Africans to be informed about what's happening here. But to the extent that the bad ones amongst us do capture some officials of the media, we must not turn a blind eye that we have the bad ones. I've raised some journalists. There's one typical example, and I must say, and I've said it before, a media house employs people. The journalists that are employed, some of them are in the pocket of the wrong people. One typical example is this: when a senior investigator, Bongani Mtakane from the Sunday World, I'm not inviting you to go and read Sunday World because they're going to make money out of you. But they've got a tendency of writing a lot of negative things. Here is an investigating officer. You might have heard of a matter of Calvin Matibeti that I'm in court with recently. In his office, I'm not saying him, but in his office, someone is asking for an ID number of an individual. They give the name, say, profile this individual, we want his ID number. They get the ID number. That ID number lands with this journalist. Here's it. And this journalist writes a media inquiry to the South African Police Service and puts this ID number and says, so and so with this ID number, explain his role in the police. We don't respond because we say, POPI doesn't allow us to come and talk about details of people. What the journalist does, it writes to the Minister of Police. He says, Minister of Police, I've sent this complaint to this question to the police. They don't want to respond. That's how desperate this Dagane person is. And to date, they have not published a story, but we have the media inquiry from him. So I'm just simply saying that amongst the media, they cannot be clean. If we are saying in the police, we've got bad ones, the media might be as bad as we have. So we can't say journalists are good. Media is important as much as the police is important.
We've got bad people all over the place.
Yeah, so media, it mustn't be conceived.
Media all over, and as you pointed out, prosecutors, judges, magistrates, politicians. Our best chance and our best hope is to ensure that the good prevail over the bad.
That's correct.
And that is why your media briefing on the 6th was so critically important, because it has opened up what a lot of people have known and suspected for many years.
Yep.
So that's good. So, but you don't close down certain institutions, for example, the media, or restrict just because of that. You're going to always have bad media, bad press, bad journalists. I'm going to ask my colleague, Ms. Mkhwanazi, to deal with just to ask about an update on events subsequent to the 6th of July.
Good afternoon, General.
Yes, ma'am.
I intend to refer to the events or rather from paragraph 9 onwards of the memorandum, the items listed therein. And in doing so, General, in that paragraph, those paragraphs, you deal with an update of subsequent events that followed after you made the press briefing. And you refer to the establishment of the Madlanga Commission and the Ad Hoc Commission. Now we know in the Madlanga Commission as well as this committee, you had a graph where you made reference to the cartel and where you refer to the various role players that were involved in the implementation of the directive, like Mr. Nkabinde, Minister Mkhwanazi, and also General Kellen. You had a graph where you indicate the respective roles that they played. I'm trying to get the diagram thrown up so that when you provide us an update of events and to the extent that you can, speak about your subsequent investigations and the outcomes thereof. Chair, if I can just be assisted to have the diagram, there's Mr. Romano now, to just put up the diagram so that General Mkhwanazi can just speak to that. General, while Mr. Romano is putting up the diagram, maybe let's start with, we now know that the Madlanga Commission was established and this committee was subsequently established. You've spoken about your perception of the committee and that you've been watching the manner in which the witnesses that have been called, which you recommended and which other witnesses recommended. Do you have a particular view before we get into the issues, and did you want to identify certain issues that came out of evidence that were given by those witnesses that could assist in you giving an update on subsequent events?
Yes, Honorable Chair, I said in my opening remarks that while I appreciate the decision taken by the Speaker of Parliament to establish this committee, and also appreciate the President of the Republic from when he appointed the judge to preside over the commission that is running in Pretoria. But one being a citizen in the country, taking time through the media to watch the proceedings as they unfold, we get to notice what is happening at the Madlanga Commission, and we also get to see what's happening before this House. And the concerns that one will have, appreciating, as I said earlier, the long hours that the honorable members are putting into this, sacrificing your sleep and stuff like that, and interrogating facts. But when we see committee members that have a posture of seems to suggest that they are in a corner of Mkhwanazi, or they're in a corner of Mkhwanazi, or they're in a corner of Sbia, or they're in a corner of Mkhwanazi, and so forth. It is that is disturbing for me. I expect honorable members to keep neutral. One person who said, I'm not saying that he's a good person, Honorable Souls, when one person says that person is driving a particular agenda, and I said to that person, Honorable Souls might be analyzing things in his own way, and it does not necessarily mean that is wrong. But when he's aggressive towards one person and he seems to be praising the others, he then sends a wrong message. But allow the questioning of each member of Parliament to go on the way they want it to present. But what I was worried about is that there are some instances where the honorable members will seem to be more relaxed towards a particular witness that appears here and don't probe it. So when I'm here, I expect the fireworks to come my direction and not only the applauding what I'm doing. I might appreciate, yes, it's human to talk good about me and to show me that you appreciate. Yes, I appreciate that. But there are things that you need to get to find out. So you should not put back and ask questions in future. Well, you've done now, this is the end. But I would have expected in future that you become aggressive to everyone as you are aggressive. Honorable James and everyone else will experience that. And until we come and we present before you, why are we saying what we are saying and why are we doing what you're doing? You don't necessarily say, pass a comment of a judgment that you're going to put in a report. You acknowledge what you are saying. You pose a question, you get an answer, you take note. If that answer doesn't satisfy you, you get a conclusion and say, Mkhwanazi is smoking something here. Make a note. Don't tell Mkhwanazi in the face that, because on the outside person who's in a favor of Mkhwanazi, they'll judge you. So, and the person talks something that you like, don't make it visible that hey, I'm excited about this, what this man is doing. Take note of it, make a note of it, so that when you deliberate, when you're together, you are able to say, these are facts, this is fiction. And this is what we must do going forward. Then you come up with a report. So we must guard against that in the future. That is my only observation that I had, and I thought when I have an opportunity, I'll address it. And I did raise it when the chair gave me the opportunity earlier.
Then, General, just with reference to that diagram, you provided us a diagram that listed some of the, or at least only 2 of the syndicate members that you've identified during your investigations because they were arrested. So my question is to you, is there an update on some of the investigations, and can you maybe inform the House whether, because when you came here, you came on allegations, and we understood that all of these things were still subject to further investigations. So what have you since discovered in relation to the issues identified here in this diagram that could assist the committee when it looks at the record, and where could we find the evidence in support of that?
No, thanks. I think everything else other than the red dots that you see on the diagram involves those that's supposed to assist the police in making sure they're bringing the perpetrators to court and the prosecution is done correctly and the convictions are realized in court. All those other than the red dots. So whether you're a government official in the police, whether you're a government official outside the police, you're a private individual, you're part of the media, you're a parliamentarian, executive authority, on whatever role that you play, you're supposed to be assisting to catch all the reds that we see. But our frustration, honorable members, was that these officials that's supposed to help are connected one way or another with these red dots that we're looking at. And they play different roles, each one of them. So that's what we were trying to reflect on this screen, so that you get to see that we have identified each entity and the role played. We didn't give more details. We were talking about journalists. When we say agents of misinformation as a typical example, that's where you're going to find the medias, do you call a professor or a doctor or Miss Merity Haas? I don't know what title she moves with now. Mr. Or Miss, she's not a professor. You find the Merity Haas in the black square. You're going to find the police officers. So all these people that are peddling information, that are creating problems, they are in there because they've been used and they participate. We are showing the security cluster, the top right corner. They're supposed to help us to win. But when you have the likes of Mr. McBride, that Nkabinde came to confirm his role. Remember, he said, Nkabinde told me these things about IP. Nkabinde was here, and he presented exactly what he told me. So, and now McBride has been elevated to state security. It is McBride that facilitates Mr. Adams' transportation with blue lights police cars to the prison in KZN through his cousin, using blue lights of the state. So these are the things that we're concerned about. We're highlighting it here. Members of this portfolio committee, this ad hoc committee, they know for a fact that there's a case on the Louis Vuitton. Mr. Paul O'Sullivan came here and said, no, I heard it from the media. The case of Louis Vuitton is sitting at IDEC, I'm told. Cleared or not cleared, but it was at IDEC. How did it land at IDEC? It's a question, because it was an IP case. It went to IDEC because it migrated with the IP members under Sisoko when the IDEC was formed. They took these dockets with them to IDEC. Is that what the parliamentarians wanted IDEC to do? It's a question. So these are the role players that we have in our mix. To date, you heard of the minister opening a case against me at IDEC, at IPIT. To date, say a year later, I was told by IP, the minister complained. A week later, no, the minister didn't complain. The same head of IP, he goes and tells the acting minister that no, this complaint came from the chief of staff. He whispers. To date, nobody tells me about what's happening within Mpangeni case. These are the players, officials we have in these places. So we are trying to show the picture of who does what. General Cele is here communicating with Kat. He came here and he confirmed that. So we're trying to show that there are people here in our organization, within civil society, that are playing certain roles to allow these RAD to operate. Honorable Chair and members, it will be one day we're sitting under the tree, maybe we'll talk, that the almost duplicate of what we know as union building in South Africa was run in the farm that belonged to one Mr. Mswati in Pretoria, where politicians will account, business people will account, the whole lot will account. Give the list of those that have made a turn that they've had to account, you'll be shocked. So when you have such, and we see that Mswati is no more, and someone else is taking